three. Good.
Step back three. That's a good shot for three.
Stepping through off the window, good. Stepping through the raindrops and the finish on the right hand.
And everything's going the Qudos way with back-to-back threes. The Boomers a WNBL chance.
Round 10 of the Cygnett WNBL comes to a thrilling finish today as the 6th place Sydney Flames host the 4th place Townsville Fire at Qudos Bank Arena. The Flames are coming off a season-defining win over Adelaide, but the Fire have a 7-game winning streak over the home side. 6 Opals, including Lauren Nicholson, Steph Reid, Keely Froling and Shyla Heal, are all in action, so stay tuned for an enthralling contest. I'm Julia Montesano and I'm joined by former WNBL assistant coach, current NBL 1 Bendigo Braves coach Mark Alabakov. Mark, welcome. What sort of game are we in for tonight?
A really exciting one. It's a first-time clash between these two teams and both playing for different things. I think for the Townsville Fire, they're 1 win above the Perth Lynx on the ladder at the moment, really playing to solidify their position within the finals, whereas Sydney has found their rhythm in the past couple of games. So they've won 3 of their past 4 and will be looking to get a top 4 scalp like Townsville.
So like you mentioned, Sydney are coming off a momentous 4-point win against Adelaide, probably their biggest win of the season. They were down by 17 points at halftime, produced 49 points to the Lightning's 28 in the second half to record the comeback victory. So what does a win like this do for a team spirit, Mark?
Well, I think it would build a lot of belief in the group and it would really validate them being capable of pushing and beating top 4 caliber teams. They're certainly with no loss of talent, across the course of their roster with young guns like Shyla Heal, Tiana Mangakahia, Keely Froling within the lineup that are emerging, but they're starting to click as a team and it's really exciting for them.
It absolutely is. As you can see on the screen, they trailed by as much as 23 points in the third quarter. Their 2 top scorers, Shyla Heal and Keely Froling, they combined for just 14 points, so it led to great contributions from Jocelyn Willoughby, Tiana Mangakahia, Hannah Shervin and Emma Clark with 4 big triples off the bench as well. But up next, we're going to take a look at how these two teams are placed on the ladder as well, because as you can see, Townsville are 4th in the place at the moment, Sydney is 6th. They're charging at the ladder in 6th spot as well. And elsewhere, it's tight at the top. Bendigo recorded a big win over the Lightning last night. And keep an eye on Perth. They recorded a massive upset win over Southside on Friday night. It is a round of the upsets in a way, Mark. So this game will certainly bring the heat too.
Absolutely. And on the Basket Case podcast, I called this potential game as an upset of the round. And we've had 2, prior this. So it could be the round for it.
Let's take a look at how the two teams are going to match up for the day as well. We're looking at the Townsville Fire on screen now. They've had a great season, sitting in 4th place at the moment. They've got a host of stars on their bench. Lauren Nicholson's having a fantastic season, and as you can see, she's leading the way in the starting 5 along with Steph Reid, Tiana Hawkins, Michaela Roof and Carly Samuelson. And Mark, Lauren Nicholson holds the key for the Fire today. When she scores over 20 points, they're 4-1. When she scores less than 20 points, they're 2-3. I mean, how important is she for their lineup?
Critically important, and ironically she averages 19.5, so she sits right on that cusp of win and loss, so that drives, I think, the importance that she has within this lineup. But I think as much as what she can do on the floor in terms of scoring, she's a fantastic defender. She'll do lockdown jobs for you, but she drives your competitiveness by her example. She'll dive on loose balls, she'll take charges, she'll do all the tough stuff that players of her caliber do to help their teams win in big games.
And the starting 5 for the Sydney Flames, Heal, Mangakahia, Willoughby, Froling and Shervin. So they're keeping it simple. As I said, Froling and Heal combined for just 14 points in the last game. So expect those other 3 starters to step up again. They certainly played a big role last game, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see both of these teams match up almost like for like. I mean, you've got in your front court possession-type players, but those that are talented in their own right with Froling and Shervin versus Roof and Hawkins. And then the guard stocks. I mean, we've got 3 players on the floor in the point guard position or combo guard position with Heal, Mangakahia and Reid. This is the future of Australian basketball, along with a couple of others, but 3 of them get to take the court against one another.
And speaking of the future of Australian basketball, on Friday, Basketball Australia announced their extended Opals 2023 squad. There's 6 players on the floor tonight in that squad: Zatina Akuzo, Keely Froling, Shyla Heal, Tiana Mangakahia, Lauren Nicholson and Steph Reid. They'll head to a training camp at the AIS in March, and then they'll compete a selection from there from the 2023 Asia Cup and 2024 Paris Olympics. So great recognition for those 6 players. But for now, all their focus is on Qudos Bank Arena. Both teams want to get the win today. It's a double header for the Flames as well, with the Kings to follow after this. But a big game awaits them right now. Crowd pulling in. You can see the refs on the screen getting ready to go. It's going to be a cracking contest between the Flames and the Fire to round out round 10 of the Cygnett WNBL. So you can see the two teams getting ready to do battle, the crowd getting into it. It's going to be a great contest, and as the refs are just waiting for a few more things to get us underway. Looking quite fresh and pink, I must say, too. And now we are ready for tip-off. It looks like Sydney will win the first hands on it, but it'll be a Townsville ball. My apologies, Sydney ball. Froling sporting that headband once again. She's got a pretty nasty knock in the last game. Here's a partner in crime heel to Willoughby, wanting to get things started. Froling, shot doesn't fall. Here's Samuelson now for the Fire. Can they get their day started with a big bucket? Hawkins, Nicholson, speaking of big buckets, dances around heel, and that's what she does.
And as a taller guard, it's a great move by her to post up the shorter heel at the tip of the rim.
Shervin, Mangaka here. Stepping off Steph Reed. The shot doesn't drop, but a good offensive board from Froling. Mangaka here with it again.
And even early on, you get a picture of the type of respect that Townsville has for Charlotte Heel. They've thrown Lauren Nicholson on her, so arguably their best on-ball defender and taller on-ball defender. They've put on Charlotte Heel an offensive weapon for the Flames.
It'll be a fascinating matchup between these two all night, as Froling just loses it. Rita Mangaka here look like they're going to match up as well. That'll be a great battle too.
And one of two different styles. You've got the poise and patience of Steph Reed, and then the enigmatic dribble penetration and attack mindset of Mangakahia.
Samuelson now. Dumps it into Roof. Shot clock ticks down to 6, so Roof pulls up. And the board's full with Sydney. Mangakahia. To Froling. Just looking for an option, finds Willoughby. We know what she can do with the ball in hand, confronted by Hawkins, so Shervin pulls up. Samuelson takes down the board, so good start from the Fire so far, but that pass is off the mark from Steph Reed. Willoughby now pulls up from three-point range and sinks it.
Tiana does such a fantastic job of finding people in transition. She's a point guard that plays her best when she can get the ball and go and have lane runners ahead of her, and she can find you if you get open.
So a good start there for Sydney with that 3 ball. Score is 3-2 early doors in this one. As Steph Reed gets ready to inbound for Townsville. One of 6 players selected in that on the floor tonight, selected in that extended Opal squad. Great recognition for her season. Nicholson. Can't sink her second bucket of the day, but it was good hands from Roof. And it will force a jump ball. So the possession arrow will fall the way of the Fire. So they'll have another go at it. Nicholson just finding it hard to find a free player. Samuelson hits the deck, and rightfully a whistle goes off. So defense seems to be a key theme of the game so far. Both teams locking up pretty well.
Yeah, and doing their best to disrupt with hand pressure, but then getting their body in the road of cutters. So Shervin gives away a foul in that possession, but you can see that there's a heightened importance, I guess, on the defensive end as a focus for both of the teams.
Unsurprisingly, these two teams love a bit of defense, considering the people they're coached by as well. Shane Hill and Shannon Seabold love a bit of defense. An offensive foul there called on Roof. So it'll be a Sydney ball once again. Did mention they came off a massive win against Adelaide just earlier on in the week. Down by as much as 23 points in the third quarter. Managed to come back and win that game. Willoughby played a big part in that. Hawkins committed the foul there. And she's played a big role in Townsville's ascendancy this season, Tiana Hawkins.
She's been really important for them. I think she's top 2 in the league in rebounds as well, so does a great job with possession play.
Willoughby drives hard, but reads there to use her speed. The pass again was errant, so a bit of uncharacteristic errors there from Steph Reid.
And it really is for both teams, like playing a little bit shaky. And again, it gives you a picture of the heightened importance with both these teams on this matchup, but the type of defense being played. Both these two teams are the 2 lowest in the competition for turnovers, and we've seen some early.
Pressure gauge is high at Qudos Bank Arena. Mungaka here, Heel. Shot clock in single digits, so Heel drives and kicks it back out to Mungaka here. A deep 3. Just misses the mark. The Townsville will get it back. The Townsville currently have a 7-game winning streak over the Sydney, so they'll be looking to continue that tonight as Hawkins launches for her first 3. Frolling's there to mop up, as she always is. Reliable as ever for the Flames. Goes on the left and bakes it in with the and one.
I love seeing Keely Froling play that way, faced up, roughly around that elbow region or top of the key here, driving down the seam. She does a terrific job of being able to find contact with the defender, hold that contact and ride it in a straight line drive to the basket. There she's able to make the and one out of the possession.
So Keely Froling, she's shooting 71.7% from the free throw line, looking to convert the 3-point play. In December, she was first in the league with her average scoring 20.4 points per game. And a few subs will come onto the court for Townsville. Laura McSpadden making her way out onto the floor. Here is Keely Froling, converting the 3-point play. So a little run here by Sydney gives them the lead for the first time tonight. Or today, I should say. Roof. Nicholson. Confronted by Willoughby, so has to give it back to Roof. Just dribbles out. And now Samuelson. That's a nice find.
Outstanding pass and great finish by Samuelson to catch the ball high and not bring it down where the smaller defender can get a piece of it. She catches high and finishes high and makes the layup.
Here's Willoughby now, coming off 21 points against the Lightning. Led her team in scoring in that game. Heel, accustomed to leading the scoring, just misses on that occasion. Reid for Townsville now. Off to Nicholson. Just loses it, but McSpadden's there and finds it. Travel call just before the basket, though.
Laura Nicholson's really explosive going to her left hand. She's known throughout the competition as having that preference off the dribble. So you can find a lot of teams, and keep an eye on it with matchups here. They'll try to shade her or send her towards her right, where she generally will pull up and try and make a play earlier off the bounce rather than getting all the way to the rim.
Charlotte Heel, just 3 points for her against Adelaide. So a quiet game, but she did well in assists. So we'll see what she has in store for us tonight. Gets it back from Sherman here. Pulls up for a 3, and that's classic Charlotte Heel.
And great job staying patient. I thought that was such a difference between her in the possession earlier, where I thought she might have forced that pull-up jump shot, where she's able to give it up and get it back off an action, makes a wide-open 3.
Good boards by McSpadden. They just can't get the shot they wanted there, Townsville. So it allows Sydney to extend their 5-point lead. Froling glides in. Nice dime from Willoughby too. And the Flames are firing.
Absolutely. this is a fantastic kick ahead. So if you've got players that are prepared to run ahead of their matchup, there's two things that are benefit with that. If you can outrun your player and we can throw the ball to you, you get an opportunity to obviously have a layup type of attempt and potentially put yourself in a position to be fouled, or it flattens out the defense, gives the ball handler more space.
This timeout is brought to you by CTM Sport. Are you considering travelling interstate with your basketball team? Consider CTM Sport for a competitive, innovative and customised travel solution that puts your team on top. Visit ctmsport.com.au to learn more. So early doors, a timeout here. Sydney leading Townsville 11-4. Some scorers at the moment, Heel and Willoughby and Froling on 3 points each for Sydney. And then for Townsville, Nicholson and Samuelson each have a couple of points each. So a good start by Sydney here, Mark. What do you think's been the key to that?
Well, they're letting the game come to them and they're trying to make plays that are the correct reads within different portions of the shot clock. So I think the possession just prior to that kick-ahead layup, they did a fantastic job of being able to execute and just manage the shot clock, get the type of shot they want for... They've obviously got some weapons on the floor and, you know, Charlie Hill hits that massive three, but where they can have the patience to execute and they run some really good stuff, that can be tough to keep down.
Townsville with a bit of work to do out of their huddle, just the 2 baskets so far for them. Off the hands of Nicholson and Samuelson. Steph Reed yet to inject herself into the game. Tiana Hawkins also acquired, so I think Shannon Seaborn would have been a bit animated in his timeout perhaps. Let's see what they've got in store for us now. Reed against Mangakahia. Samuelson, guarded by Heel, was a mismatch, and Samuelson executed.
It's such a weapon when you've got the ability as a great shooter that she is, Samuelson, to have a back-to-basket game or the cutting game that we saw earlier. Just adds threads to her bow.
Willoughby to Froling for Sydney now. Back out to Willoughby. They're using all the minutes of the shot, all the seconds of the shot clock, but this time Townsville are able to get the steal. Samuelson again. Feeling it this game, but not quite on that shot. Mangakahia, good dime again to Froling. She's in all the right spots tonight. So Froling now up to 7 points for the ball game. The Flames have 13, leading the Fire 6. It's been the round of upsets, as we know, Mark. We started on Wednesday night, and then Sydney did a number in Adelaide too, and they might do one again against Townsville. They've certainly got all the right makings so far.
It highlights the competitiveness of this league, where if teams have got the ability to beat any other team within the competition, it makes for a really exciting competition.
There was Lara McSpadden getting some points on the board. You can see her getting some early minutes in this game. Heel into Shervin, back to Heel. Again, using up all the shot clock. Mangakahia has to go now. Spins around Roof. And Townsville, good pressure there. Samuelson, Nicholson in the corner, loves this spot. Just not on that occasion.
And now if you're coach Shannon Seaborn, you've got to hold your nerve, because they've had 2 really good 3-point looks that, you know, would be characteristic for the Fire. They just haven't dropped yet.
Here is Nicholson again. Roof, clever pass out to Samuelson, who launches from 3-point range, and Samuelson's feeling it. Lets out the big let's go and brings her team back within a couple of points. Big launch there from Carly Samuelson, and don't the bench love it as well?
She's so dangerous, so she has a gravity around her. You've got to locate her early in possessions, because you know what a threat she can be from the 3-point line. Find her, stay attached, and don't give her rhythm 3-point looks, especially in transition like that where she can knock them down.
Whatever Shannon Seaborn said in that earlier timeout must have worked. His team's back within 2. So what do you think his message is in this timeout? Is it to keep that momentum going? Is it to change a few things up?
Look, I think it's holding your nerve. You know, it's really early in the game still, and it's so much a game of percentages. I think he would be addressing keeping the basketball moving, trying to get the type of shot quality that they want out of their half-court execution for the people that they want, and being able to go to the well with those things and know that you're going to make more than potentially you'll miss if you're able to play to your identity. So they had some good looks early, rattled out, didn't fall for them, and then they've gone on a little bit of a run here.
Carly Samuelson's been a big key to that. She's 3 from 4 from the field at the moment, 7 points for the game. She's averaging 10.3 points per game for the season, so she's already creeping up to that average, and she's coming off 14 points against the Caps, so she's in a really good bit of form, and it's a good pickup for Townsville, I think.
Absolutely, because the looming threat of the three-point shot that she has, you've got to guard her so tightly on the perimeter that you almost play 4-on-4 with more space, and you've got Reed and Nicholson who've got the ability to beat their player or break their player down off the dribble, and they're dribble penetration heavy players that can be tough to contain. If they've got more space to be able to attack, they can do some real damage on the offensive end.
See Nicholson and Panousis matching up there, 2 Sutherland girls. They've played together in the NBL 1 East and are very familiar with each other's playing style. So both teams have looked to the bench post timeout. Emma Clark on the floor for Sydney. Didn't she have a great game? As the whistle blows.
Yeah, she really did, and she can be that 6th woman off the bench that can come in and deliver some points, deliver some rebounds. She can be a real X factor for the Flames. I think their lineup is really missing that one more contributor, and as she's been able to get healthy and get some game time under her belt, she's emerging as potentially being that player for them.
Shane Hill said she was the fittest player coming into preseason, then struggled with a bit of an injury, and then that breakout game against Adelaide, she was 4 from 5 from 3-point range. Let's see what the Fire can do to curb her impact. McSpadden drives on her straight away.
That's a strong move, being able to ride the contact and then be able to keep your body between the ball and the defender. Finish strong with the right hand. And one play here for McSpadden.
So a chance for Townsville to take back the lead. Scores level at the moment. It's been a seesawing contest to start off so far at Qudos Bank Arena. Let's see what Lara McSpadden's got here. Just rattles out. Sydney ball. So just over 2 minutes left in a really defensive-focused first term. Both coaches would overall be pretty happy with how both their teams have gone in terms of keeping the pressure on. Mangaka here. Steps out. Thought about giving it to Clark and elected for Panousis instead. Froling now. Guarded by Akuzo. Froling steps around Zatina and just can't rattle in. So Reed with a chance to give Townsville back the lead. Nicholson spinning on Panousis and will go to the line for 2.
She was set a little bit of a task there. I don't know if that was the greatest pass from Steph Reed. If you've got to throw, the importance of being able to throw passes that are on target, where Nicholson's got to catch that ball from below her waist and then get her head up and try and get on the rim. It can disrupt her rhythm.
So Laura Nicholson, she's been one of the stars of the season, 2nd in average points per game with 19.5. She's 4th in 3-point percentage as well, 53.5%, and she shoots 88.2% from free throw range. So let's see what she's got for us here. She's able to make the first one.
Wow.
You hear the crowd getting into her, as they always do. The hostile Sydney crowd, and it does affect the shot. Still though, Fire in the lead. Panousis finds Heel, back on the floor. Clark, she loves this range. Just missed on that occasion.
The Fire look like they're trapping Charlotte Heel off pick and roll actions. It'll be interesting to see if that's a theme or whether that was just a one possession thing.
Here's Woods on for some minutes, and a nice drive to start off.
And habitually known as a catch-and-shoot shooter, so tremendous job by her. And earlier we talked about Samuelson being that catch-and-shoot type that this is their primary strength, but they can beat you, and they have a willingness to be able to go to Plan B confidently and beat you off the bounce.
So Woods converts the 3-point play, and it's now an 11-0 run for the Townsville Fire. They've really brought this game back on their terms. And there's just a minute left to play in the first term. Panousis dumps it to Shervin. Clark wanted it, but Panousis will get it back. Launch from 3, and that's good from Vanessa Panousis.
And she's got the capacity to do that. She's another 3-point shooting guard.
Here's Woods from the corner. Going to add back-to-back buckets to her name.
While Panousis doesn't play a whole lot, she's also another one that has a looming threat of being able to hit a string of three-point shots if left open.
So too can Clark. This time turns it over. And Nicholson's off and running. Chased by Kira Rowe there, who's on for some late minutes in the first period. Nicholson just assesses her options. There's a 3-second differential between shot clock and game clock. An offensive foul.
Probably unlucky. I would have called that a block from the vision that we just saw without looking at a replay.
So they don't want Nicholson in any foul trouble at all. She's Can Sydney have the last say and get back into the lead? Willoughby just runs into some trouble, and Nicholson launches a prayer from half court. Ooh, and it nearly went in. But it's quarter time, and it's the Fire 17 leading the Flames 16. A very good quarter from Townsville. They were down early. Sydney had a little run, but they found their way. They found their groove. Thanks to a couple of timeouts, which I thought were pivotal, Mark, and allowed Shannon Seabom to just reset. What did you make of the first term?
Well, a game of runs, really. I think you hit the nail on the head. So Sydney starts off hot early. I mean, there's certainly a team that has got an identity with their players like Heel and Mangakahi and Froling. Those three have no quit in them. And the teams often take on the persona of the head coach. So when you're being coached by Shane Heel, who doesn't back down or didn't as a player, coming in for a fight up, start to a contest like this, you really saw that mentality from the Flames. But then the Fire were able to weather the storm and hold serve. And, like you said, the timeout to stabilize the group, be able to make some defensive adjustments. They changed from a switching defense to, being able to trap Charlotte Heel on the pick and roll. And you would see there was a little bit more structure in what they were doing in the half court offensively. They found their way and went on an offensive run.
So looking at the match stats from quarter time, you can see the field goal percentage was in Townsville's favour, 47% to 38. Then the three-point range was really interesting. Sydney 60%, leading Townsville 20%. They've hit just the one for the game so far. 11 to 9 in rebounds, 3 to 6 in assists. Townsville lead the way there. They also lead the way in steals and points in the paint, 12 to 6. And that's to be expected. Sydney are a smaller team, but overall pretty even across the board, you'd say, Mark.
Yeah, for sure, and it's going to open up in this next 3 quarters, so that'll be a real telling stat to have a look at how those things match up across the coming quarters. But one thing that's particularly notable is, you see the amount of turnovers that we've had early on, so exemplary from, probably the defensive pressure that both teams are looking to play, but also the heightened importance of this ball game between both the teams. You've got Townsville, who's trying to hold on to a spot within that top 4 and keep Perth at bay, and then Sydney's looking to get another big scalp, so they've been on a little bit of a winning streak and they want to keep that rhythm going.
So judging from those highlights, you can see which players have dominated so far. It's Keely Froling with 7 points for Sydney and Carly Samuelson with 7 as well for Townsville. Elsewhere, McSpadden's got 4, Woods has 3, so too does Nicholson for Townsville. And then for Sydney, Shyla Heel with 3, Willoughby with 3, and also Panousis with that big 3 towards the end of the first term. A nice little settler for Sydney after Townsville went on an 11-0 run.
And they're going to need that. I'd love to see Sydney start to try and get more action inside, so they're the team that averages the most free throw attempts in the entirety of the competition. They've only had 1 attempt so far, so very perimeter focused for the moment.
Here's Heel, gives it out to Clark, who loves a triple, as we know. Panousis, so too does she, and she hits her second for the game.
And this is what I spoke about earlier and spoke about on the Basket Case podcast, is she's got the capacity to come in, and she might only play, let's say, 8 to 10 minutes, but she can hit you 3 or 4 threes. And that can be really pivotal in taking some of the scoring burden off the likes of Heel and Froling.
She's gone past her season high of 5 points already too, so she's in for a big game, you sense. And that's a good settler there from Woods. You sense the threes will start to drop now for Townsville. Panousis to Shervin. Can't pop in the easy 2.
Probably not the greatest shot, so you're outside the keyway, you're shooting over a hand, so you're highly contested. There's not been a lot that's disrupted the defense to find you time and space.
Reed. Dances around Panousis, and then McSpadden's there to mop up.
And if you hang around the basket, good things happen. So whenever there's dribble penetration on a weak side of the floor, if you're a post player that can get into the corner of the basket there, that little wedge, you know, often you can be the beneficiary of a little pass like that, or, you know, potentially a layup shot that's just gone over the rim and lands in your hands.
And there's Charlotte Hill banging in another 3 for Sydney. Scores back level. Raining threes to start off this second period at Qudos Bank Arena. Reed into Hawkins. Good defensive pressure there from Shervin. Hill for back-to-back triples. Yes!
Now, credit a lot of that to the run of Emma Clark. So she sprints ahead and runs tip of rim to tip of rim. So it drags the defender away and you know, leaves Charlotte Hill wide open on the perimeter to be able to do what she does best.
Speaking of being wide open, there's Hawkins there for her first bucket of the game. Hill, 3 in a row. Not quite.
That's a heat check.
Sit back down.
The place would have gone bananas if you hit that.
I think so. Reed nearly got smashed by the ball. Eventually it comes up. There's so much pressure under the rim there, and eventually the ref has his say.
And I love seeing this contest. So there's a blend of the free-flowing transition type action, but then you've got these physical contests, some great possession players, so Shervin and Nicholson in that particular contest.
So Shervin now coming off for a rest.
And just to be who she is, you know, she's a physical body. She's prepared to bang defensively and push position, but then compete for rebounds and loose balls.
Here's Roof heading to the line for 2.
And seeing a larger sample size of Shervin playing, Roof is who she reminds me of. She's a very similar, you know, albeit in her own person, version of that type of relentless, competitive athlete.
It's Michaela Roof having another great season for the Fire. 8.7 points per game, sitting 6th in the league for rebounds with 8.6. She's shooting 72% from free throw range. Knocks down the first one. You can see on your screen there, great game coming up, of course, on February 4th. The Flyers and the Flames, John Cain Arena. Make sure you get your tickets at Ticketek. As Roof knocks down the second. The screams of the crowd. Panousis double teamed.
And Townsville in some extended pressure, a 2-2-1 press after those free throws.
Hill dances around the defense though, just can't bank it in. Here's Reed, off to Hawkins. And Hawkins just caught that pass in the backcourt. A bit of a basic error there from Townsville.
Be legal if they were playing rugby. Yeah, unfortunate, unforced error there for the Fire.
So Samuelson back onto the floor for Townsville. A good move by Shannon Seabohm, I think, considering she's leading the team with 7 points. Froling. Mangaka here. Into Willoughby. Spinning, shooting and scoring!
Earlier in the possession, I'd love to see the guards from the Flames, when they get that handoff at the top, to be able to attack immediately. They're most open as soon as they get the ball, but they're taking one dribble and going towards the sideline laterally. Now, I don't know if that's part of the possession here, but see just there on the highlight, I mean, you've got Willoughby in the way, but if she was to stay the opposite side of the basket, Tiana Mangakahia would be able to get all the way to the rim on her right hand.
Samuelson contested on the catch there.
Left foul is on the Flames number 5, Tiana Mangakahia. Her third.
Tiana Mangakahia having a really solid season for the Sydney Flames. Of course, had a treacherous battle with cancer of all things. She was 3 years cancer-free in November in 2022. She's had a fantastic. She's got a fantastic story. She's so resilient on and off the court. She plays with such hunger and desperation as well.
And passion too. You know, one thing that I love watching come out with her is when she makes a great play, you see a fist pump. She does a really good job of driving the energy within her group.
That was a nice two-pointer there from Roof. You can see the score is ebbing and flowing. There's no room to move between these two teams. We're set for a close contest all throughout, I reckon. Panousis. Shot clock ticking down to 5. Has she got another free ball in her? Gives it to Rowe this time. Has to go. And it just rattles out. Have you using a lot of the shot clock today, Sydney. Hawkins. Roof there to mop up again.
And she's such a tough matchup because she's always relentlessly going to the offensive glass. It's not a case of here and there and she's going to crash. She goes every single time.
Here's Panousis. Feeling it from that range, but just missed that time. Woods now for Townsville. Uses her pace and gives it back to Nicholson. Nicholson with the 3 points so far for this ball game. Roof. Townsville have another go at it.
And the athleticism and length of Willoughby, she's able to close down that space. So she comes into crowd or shrink the space around the ball handler, plays within the keyway on the split line, but then is able to you know, get on her bike and be able to get a hand to that ball on the skip pass.
Samuelson immediately double teams. Roof launches from 3-point range. Panousis there on the boards for Sydney. Drives down the lane, but hit a shoe. I believe it's Townsville ball.
Yeah, that's unlucky. I would love to see Keely Froling continue to run here. I'm not sure she needed to stop and set a screen there because she was already outrunning Tiana Hawkins down the floor. And she's such a big target too, so if she can get a hand extended ahead, you can throw over the defender and be able to meet her, you know, beating her to the rim with your pass.
So Sydney making it difficult for Steph Reid there to get the ball. And now Panousis is tasked with guarding her. Of course, named in that extended Opal squad was Steph Reid. And she's on the board for the first time today. So 6 points in a row here for the Fire. It opens up a 5-point lead for them. Just over the halfway mark of the second period. Heel wants to get in on the action. So too does Froling. Just loses her footing and Nicholson was there to mop up. Here's Reid. Heel commits the foul.
And you're probably watching this action pretty closely if you're Coach Shane Heel, as your team starts to look a little bit fatigued and out of rhythm perhaps within the offense. There's an unforced error on the last possession. If you get a score or cop a score here from the Fire, you're probably thinking about taking a timeout just to be able to, well, here we go.
You've done it, Mark. You've called for it yourself. Here is a timeout. And this timeout is brought to you by Cygnett. To stay connected with the latest WNBL news and social highlights, keep your favourite tech charged up at home or on the go with Cygnett's extensive range of charging products and digital accessories. A big thanks to Cygnett for powering the WNBL with high-quality tech this season. Explore their range at cygnett.com. So a little run from the Fire here, Mark. What do you think Shane Heel's saying in his timeout right now?
Well, it's first and foremost a chance for them to be able to catch their breath, just take a deep breath and be able to realign with whatever their game plan is moving forward. You know, like you said, it's a chance to kill the run of Townsville, so they've been able to gain a little bit of ascendancy. If you're the Flames, I think that their offensive execution has been mostly good, but their moments of attacking have been, for me, a second too late. So the switching defense of the Fire has been able to get a body in the road where you've created a small advantage, but because you've waited, the defender's been able to catch up and then, you know, make that neutral, and you've got a body in front of the ball and you've got to do something else to try and find time and space or dislodge that defender from you again.
So the top scorers you can see on the bottom left of your screen: Shyla Heel with 9 for Sydney, Keely Froling with 7, and Samuelson still leading for the Fire with 7. And Courtney Woods has got herself up to 6 points off the bench. Lara McSpadden also with 6 points off the bench too. So bench players for both teams doing well. Panousis also with 6 points. Seems to be the magic number of the night. And she's feeling it from 3-point range too. 2 from 3 for Vanessa Panousis. So good output from the benches of both teams.
Yeah, and important, especially for, well, I mean, both teams, you know, if we talk about them in isolation, but the Fire are going to need more contributors coming in and being able to play confidently and delivering in terms of points, rebounds, and what have you on, you know, coming off the bench for them if they're going to push, you know, deep into a finals picture. For Sydney, they're trying to establish themselves and continue to build an identity that's capable of beating these good teams, and they've shown the ability to really hang in there. They lost to Bendigo by 10 points, lost to Southside by 7, lost to the Melbourne Boomers by 10. So they step up for challenges. They just need another contributor or two off the bench, someone that can come in, be able to become that 6th or 7th player in the rotation that backs themselves and has, you know, a point of difference that they come in and deliver for the group.
So Akuzo back on the floor here for the Fire, and she's getting involved there with the screen. Now gets it from Roof, spitting, and not scoring. Roof strong on the offensive boards as always. Go to the line for 2.
The strategy change here from the Sydney Flames going to a 2-3 zone. So trying to disrupt the rhythm. You know, any time that you have a pattern that looks like it's losing for a period of time, so the run that Townsville has gone on has been exemplary of that. There's been a change from Coach Shane Heal to be able to disrupt that run.
See the fouls on the right-hand side of your screen. Rowe and Mungaka here with 3 already. That's a bit of a concern for Shane Heal. Hawkins sitting at 2 for the Fire, and Akuzo with 1. So early doors for both teams. A bit of foul trouble. Roof knocks down the second. So we'll have a sub here for Sydney. Hannah Sherman coming back into the game for Kira Rowe. Both playing similar roles this season. Panousis going to work on Reed. She's so tough to play on Steph Reed. Froling to Willoughby. Long 3 is good.
That's a massive hit, and you know, they've got so many weapons on the 3-point line. Sometimes you can live and die by that. You know, that shot's dropping for them at the moment. Again, I go back to what I alluded to earlier. I'd love to see them get more action all the way to the rim off the dribble, just to balance out that inside-outside attack from their team. But then also it's going to open up the perimeter if you're able to attack.
Talked about at the quarter-time break, and it's continuing that theme in the second period too. Both teams are having their own little spells. Let's see what the Fire can do now with Reed. And that's a great little shot from Steph Reed, a circus shot if you want to call it too.
But that's her, right? She leans in and makes the contact, and she wants to leverage your body contact off the bump and then shoot on the fade where she can get outside your wingspan. It's a tremendous job by Steph Reed.
Back on the defensive end, Froling, spinning around Roof. Samuelson's there for Townsville. Long pass to Reed. Let's see what the referee's call is there. Reed having a great season. She had that breakout game against Perth, 27 points. And she's league leader in assists, so she seems to be hanging around there every year. Always beating her teammates.
Yeah, not only that, she's delivering 15.5 points per game, but then is also 2.7 steals per, so she's playing both ends of the floor incredibly well.
Here's Panousis now for Sydney, her team down by 6. Froling. Heal. Both been a bit quiet this quarter, although Heal lit it up early. Froling, strong offensive boards. Confronted by Akuzo. And we'll go to the line for 2.
And that possession is exactly what I'm asking for from the Flames. So you see dribble penetration, so you get attack at the rim. There's possession play here. You've got, you know, one of the most relentless possession players in the competition in Keely Froling. Goes up, is able to play through the contact and get a shot attempt up, finds herself on the free throw line.
Recommend heading to the Sydney Flames Twitter account and seeing the damage that Keely Froling had to her face from last game. I mean, it's customary. She always has some sort of damage. She has a big bruise, and then she's got stitches on her eyebrow as well. And she's still out there, still fighting, and still scoring too, as she's able to knock down the first free throw.
She looks like she has a cast or some tape on her left hand as well.
So she's in the wars, Keely Froling, and she'll have another free throw here.
That's Froling family tradition. They play through anything.
They really do.
As tough as they come.
Her brother Sam will be on court later for Illawarra in this doubleheader. Frolings are never far away from each other.
So explosive drive there by Nicholson. I'd love to see her get to the far side of the hoop here. So you almost use the hoop as a little bit of a barrier to be able to finish with a left-hand reverse. And then it's out of the range where Shervin might be able to get her hand to it.
Samuelson, nice dish to McSpadden. That's perfect basketball from Townsville. Let's see what Sydney have got in their trick bag to respond. Willoughby trying to make a move on Samuelson. And we'll head to the charity stripe.
Exactly what we're asking for, right? Like, attack the basket. They're the team that gets fouled the most and gets on the free throw line the most, and this is their identity. So these past two possessions, them being able to go off the dribble, we know that they can shoot the three-point shot, and it kept them in the game early, but having a balance, I think, is really, really important, and they've got the athletes to be able to do it. There's just got to be that on-court recognition within the group to be able to go back inside when they find themselves becoming a little bit, more perimeter than perhaps what they've liked.
So Willoughby's able to convert the first one, and it's what you called for, Mark. You wanted them to head to the free throw line a bit more, and that's what they're doing, and they're edging closer and closer to Townsville as Willoughby makes the second one. So 33-38, just under 2 minutes to play in the opening half at Qudos Bank Arena. Reed into Hawkins for a big three. Can't quite land it.
The 2-3 zone disrupting the rhythm of the Fire there.
Heel, just asking for some movement from our teammates. Thought about the three and then gave it to Panousis. Just getting some extended minutes this game. Shervin launches from three. And who says bigs can't hit threes?
That's a massive shot. So another change in the pick and roll defense from the Fire. So this is called icing. See how Steph Reed jumps across and doesn't let Panousis use the screen and get to the middle of the floor. So there you've got Panousis will take it on her left hand. This is one of the solutions. She's able to stretch it, take it down towards the baseline, pop Hannah Shervin, skip it over the top, and she gets a wide open look for the three.
So just like that, the Flames are back within a couple of points of the Fire. It has been Townsville's quarter, you'd say, so far, just marginally, 21 points to 17 for the term. But Shannon Seymour's got a bit of thinking to do in his timeout, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a real chess match, and we're starting to see some of that emerge within this second quarter. So there's been some defensive changes. The Flames have gone to the 2-3 zone, so Shannon's probably discussing when you see that look defensively, here's what we're looking to prioritize, perhaps in shot type, or if there's an offense that they run particularly versus the zone, he'd be stressing that. And then, Shannon himself has changed the pick and roll defense, so he's trying to keep the guards from the Flames team guessing in terms of what the coverage is, so that can disrupt rhythm and cause a bit of hesitation, because every time the likes of Heel or Mangakahia or Panousis get the ball, they don't know what the look is defensively that they're going to have to try to solve.
So we expect much the same pressure. McSpadden. Back into Nicholson. And on cue, she gets herself a two-pointer.
And great play design by Shannon Seabohm to orchestrate something for Nicholson to get on her left hand, because she goes relentlessly.
Panousis now. Shervin. There'll be a foul called. Fire up by 4 thanks to that Nicholson 2. And some bench players will come on the floor for Townsville. Courtney Woods getting another run after Samuelson committed another foul.
And having an impact, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists.
Willoughby, speaking of having an impact, that one just rattles out this time. Using her footwork on heel, and then Roof has to go to work on Shervin. Spinning and not shooting successfully. Sydney ball.
Fire with the foul, number 1, Lauren Nicholson.
So Lauren Nicholson commits another foul. I think she's feeling a bit frustrated out there. Hasn't quite had the game she'd like so far, but you know, with Lauren Nicholson, it's only a matter of time.
And just under 35 seconds on the clock. The choice that you make here with the clock and shot clock where it is, do you accelerate and try and get a quick one, knowing that you can give one possession back to the Fire and have the ball back to try and score? Looks like they're trying to use the entirety of it.
Here's Willoughby, couldn't convert the three.
That's the proverbial 2 for 1.
So Townsville now with 14 seconds to work with. Can they get one last say on this opening half? Reed nearly loses her footing, dishes it into McSpadden, who's been prolific under the basket tonight. And the Flames launch a prayer, and that won't do. And at halftime, it's Townsville 42, leading Sydney 36. It was a good second period from the Fire just to settle things down a bit. Mark, what did you make of that period?
Well, it's a real arm wrestle. So, you know, I allude to some of the chess pieces starting to be moved and they're starting to emerge on the board. So you've got defensive changes from both teams. Now it's, you know, on the offense of both of those teams to be able to find solutions to, or counter moves, I should say, to those, you know, defensive moves that the coaches have made. So I think that'll be the topic of discussion for both of the coaches into this halftime break. I think for the Fire, they do best when they've got clarity and simplicity. For the Flames, if they're able to attack, you know, the moment that they get the ball, you know, within the action of their half court, I think that they're most open when they get it. If they're looking to go off the bounce, the balance of them being able to go inside and get on the free throw line, you know, it balances the attack from inside to out, and we know that they've got weapons that can go off the dribble as well as the three-point line. You know, you're really going to rely on everybody's capacity and the spread of shot types to try to beat a team like the Fire.
Well, don't go anywhere, folks. It's a riveting game on our hands. At halftime, it's the Fire leading the Flames by 6 points.
D-Trans has got to be a little bit better from both teams.
Lays from the corner, she knocks it down. Talbot for Whistle, fading away. That's a terrific night for the Adelaide Lightning.
Gives it to Atwell, kicks it back out to Scherf to get her scoring underway. Back to Atwell, who then gives it to Scherf, who steps out for three from the corner. Back into Scherf, has to work against Froling. That is a great shot. Now she's warming up. To Scherf, not another three. Oh my God!
As the game clock for the quarter to end wound down.
Two with the ball right now as we see a steal from Maddie Rocci.
Rocci causing trouble straight to the rack. Rocci, can she launch into an offensive? Conti, triple. Here is Carly Ernst.
On cue.
And it goes. It's the Flyers by 46 points here.
Oh, wow.
Talk about bullying.
What a heads-up play from Christy Wallace. She inbounds it off the back of Maddie Rocci, gets it back, makes the two. Now to Blitzarves for another three. He's feeling it tonight. Blitzarves. Why not? When it's your night, it's your night. Pop over the top to Blitzarves. He's been lights out tonight. So that top four is going to be highly competitive. First to get there. Blitzarves with 40.
This is our vow to you.
What's coming down the aisle?
We'll send Australia
I look like the girl next door.
wild.
I'm actually a little freak in the sheets.
The phenomenon of love is bigger
You're a lucky man.
than ever.
She's not doing too badly herself.
New Married at First Sight. Monday, Jan 30 on 9.
Gossip Girl here, your one and only source into the scandalous lives of Manhattan's elite. XOXO Gossip Girl.
Get your summer streaming on 9 now.
Do not underestimate the power of a good blind. Take this exhausted couch. Now it stands before you. Magnifique. Even this cocktail of dead skin is gracefully waltzing. Da 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 da. DIY blinds. Change the ugly.
For 2 decades, 3 kings have ruled Melbourne.
True legends of the sport.
This summer, it's anyone's. Get ready.
Expect the unexpected.
For the Open that's wide open.
Oh, incredible stuff.
The greatest epic ever starts Monday live and free on 9 and 9 now. It's the biggest WNBL season yet, and superstar Lauren Jackson returns. Turn it up. Don't miss a block, basket, or game winner.
Just not steal the win.
WNBL, live on 9 now.
Hi Hoopers, I'm Tess Madgen. I'm so excited to be offering virtual masterclasses this school holidays with She Hoops. Starting on the 9th of January at 5:30 p.m. every Monday night. In this 5-week series, we will be delivering a range of basketball skills. I will also take you through a number of mobility skills designed to keep your body active and engaged. And the best part is that it's free. Go to shehoops.com.au to register now and secure your spot.
Expect the unexpected.
It's summer's greatest show.
Best point of the match.
And he is the greatest showman.
Top shelf from Kyrgios.
What an athlete.
What a play. Just electric.
King Nick leads the Aussie assault.
This one is for country.
Ladies and gentlemen, take your seats.
Australia, it's time for a brand new day.
2023 is the start of a new era, but some things won't change a bit.
We still have the best news team in the business.
In breaking news this morning,
Heated debate is firing up.
The emotion from this man.
and you'll still wake up with Australia's best breakfast.
2023, a very big year. Don't forget, 5:30 sharp.
No worries.
So the Today Show with Sarah, and that's my chair.
We're shaking things up, Carl.
Wake up to a brand new day. Monday on 9.
Looking for something to keep the kids entertained these school holidays?
Listen to the roar of that crowd.
Come and watch Australia's elite female basketballers in action as they battle it out for championship glory in the Cygnett WNBL.
Good. That's a good shot.
Tickets available now. To book your seat, visit WNBL.basketball.
The great champion.
He's a rare phenomenon.
Who is the greatest tennis player of all time?
Federer or Nadal?
I wonder what the 100 thinks.
You have Australia's support.
So baby, in 90 days, we're gonna be husband and wife.
I was with her for 5 days, and then I proposed to her.
She's so eager to be in love, she lets red flags just go.
People say 19-year-old, she's just using you. Maybe she could be.
90 Day Fiancé. Get your summer streaming on 9 now.
leading the Flames by 6 points at halftime. Julia Montesano and former WNBL assistant coach Mark Elabakov here to take you through the second half. And Mark, we're looking at the match stats for the game so far. Is there anything that sort of catches your eye when you look at that on first glance?
Well, certainly the three-pointers made by the Sydney Flames, so 8 of 13 is exceptional. You would expect that to start to regress a little bit to what their average would be, and this is where I've been calling for the balance of being able to go inside, knowing that that's coming, and you sometimes live and die by the three-point shot. I think most telling for me is, for Sydney to find their balance, if they're able to do that, they average the most free throws in the game at 17 a game. They've only had 5 so far, so that's a little bit less than what they would normally have at this stage of a ball game on average. I'd love to see them go to the offensive glass a little bit more. So there's only the 2 offensive rebounds for the team. And then for the Fire, they're well on track for their identity. They've just got to continue to be who they are and have the courage to stay patient. Points in the paint for the Fire, so the dribble penetration, the rebounding, they average 37. They've got 30 already. Second chance points, they average 13. They've got 8 already. And then offensive rebounds for all of those opportunities that I listed above, they average 12 and they've got 7 on the board. So they're really tracking how they would want to play to their style.
It's almost like they should be winning by more, but Sydney are doing a great job of just holding them at bay at the moment. As I mentioned, it is a 6-point margin at halftime. And the tail of the game so far, Sydney 16 points in the first period to Townsville 17, and then Townsville 25-20 in that second period. And then if you look at the leading scorers for each team, Willoughby has 10, Heel with 9, Froling with 8, and then Panousis with 6 off the bench, Hannah Shervin with 3 rounding out their scorers. And then we take a look at Townsville, and leading the scoring for them is Lara McSpadden with 10 points off the bench, which is fantastic to see. Samuelson with 7, Roof with 8, Nicholson with 5, Reed with 4, and Hawkins with 2. So a good all-round scoring contribution from both teams, but McSpadden in particular is what was really caught my eye from a Townsville point of view.
Well, they're putting her in an action called Spain, so they'll have a pick and roll with her, and then they'll have a shooter, like a shooting player like a Samuelson or Nicholson, come and back screen McSpadden's player. So that's been able to dislodge them from her, and then she's getting open looks at the rim. So she's doing a great job of screening, waiting for a screen to be set for her, and then cutting to the basket and awaiting a lob pass.
So about to get underway in the second half at Qudos Bank Arena. The Sydney Flames against the Townsville Fire. A hot, hot Sunday of hoops. So the two teams go head-to-head. 4th place versus 6th place. Townsville sitting in 4th, Sydney in 6th. Sydney coming off a tremendous win against Adelaide, and Townsville coming off a good win against the Caps. Shervin can't get her scoring on the board, but we're head to the line for 2.
And so much better execution, so the ball continued to move. They attacked the moment that they got it, whether that was via the pass or via the dribble, and they get a really good seal layup attempt, and now a set of free throws here for Hannah Shervin.
Pops in the first one. She hasn't got the best record from free throw range, Hannah Shervin, 48.8%. Let's see if she can knock down the second one. Does so. So that's a good confidence booster for her and a good start here for the Flames.
Gets them on the rim, starts to balance out the perimeter game with some inside.
Samuelson had a hot start to this game. Reed. He's had a great season. Samuelson. Into Roof. And Shervin interferes.
Looks like potentially another defensive adjustment from Coach Shane Heel to disrupt the rhythm of the Fire. Looked like they were switching all screens in that possession.
So Samuelson to inbound here for Townsville. Finds Nicholson. She loves this spot, and that's exactly why.
She's so clutch too. Willoughby had a hand in her face and she was still able to knock it down.
Lauren Nicholson just loves a 3-point shot. So did Mangakar here. Froling. Willoughby. Shot clock ticks down to 7, and Willoughby pops up a nice shot.
She's stepping up on the scoring end where they need her most. If they're going to combat some of the switching defense the Fire are playing, you want to try to put a smaller player and a taller player in that pick and roll circumstance so that you end up with a bigger player on the small and then a smaller on the bigger.
As Reed jacks up a 3, her first for the game. So Townsville looking beyond the 3-point arc and leading by 8. Heel
So just like that.
Froling for the long two, that doesn't work. Townsville ball.
So there you ended up with Heel and Shervin in a pick and roll. The defenders switched, so they swapped who they were guarding, and then you had Nicholson on Shervin, who's obviously a lot taller at the point of the rim.
Samuelson to Nicholson, and now Reed for back-to-back three. She thought about it and then gave it back to Nicholson, who wants back-to-back threes of her own, and she gets it.
And then there's the contrary, right? You end up with a taller player when you're switching on that guard type, and they keep a little bit of a cushion generally because they're worried about getting beaten off the dribble, and it gives space for Nicholson to knock the three down.
Nicholson wants it again, but this time Hawkins comes in with the easy two, and Shane Heel will call a timeout because his team is all of a sudden down by 13 points.
And that looks like Steph Reed, right? So she's great at playing in transition as much as she is in organising and playing with poise within the half court. It was uncharacteristic to see her at halftime have as many as turnovers as assists. It looks like she's starting to find her way within this contest.
This timeout is brought to you by DIY Blinds. To fit out your home with Australian-made designer-quality window furnishings at the best prices, head to DIYblinds.com.au to order your free samples today. So, of course, we love the support of DIY Blinds this WNBL season, but the Fire out to an early break in the third period, and it's a courtesy of a couple of big three-pointers from Nicholson and Reed. So they're doing really well to get on the board, and just like that, Nicholson's leading the scoring.
Yeah, and that's happened in the blink of an eye. She's so tough to keep down across the course of an entire game, and she started the game really aggressive off the dribble. Now she's starting to get a perimeter game going with some three-point makes. It makes her a really difficult, I should say, matchup for anybody individually, but then especially when they put her in actions and then the switching defense that the Flames were playing, it leaves a bigger player on an island where you've got to sit off and give a gap and give her the three-point shot, or try to play within touch distance, but be at risk of her blowing past you within the first dribble.
So Flames have made a sub and brought Kira Rowe into the game.
Who's the perfect matchup if you want to go one-on-one against Lauren Nicholson?
Heel. Trapped by Roof. Mangaka here. Wants the corner three and gets it. That's better from the Flames.
It's a big three. Big play by her. Good to see her get on the scoreboard.
Hawkins now. Into Reed. Heel. Causing her a bit of trouble, but Reed backs out of it.
And that's that.
Into Roof, and this is great play from the Fire.
Sorry to interrupt. That's that Spain action that I was talking about. So here you see a pick and roll, and then there'll be a screen for Roof by Lauren Nicholson. So there wasn't any contact made, but they did enough to cause indecision with the defenders. Two of them stayed with the hot hand of Nicholson, and you leave Roof all the way open at the basket.
So at the free throw line, once again, Michaela Roof. She's been visiting the charity stripe a lot this game. Can't convert the three-point play on that occasion, though. So Sydney ball once again. See if Kira Rowe can work herself into this game. You mentioned the importance, Mark, of her matchup on Nicholson, that extra defensive pressure.
And she can hit the three too. She's particularly good out of the corner, so she's the proverbial 3-and-D player.
Mangaka here dishes it to Froling, but a good steal there from Roof, and Reed is off.
A second too late on that pass and needed to take one more dribble towards the wing for a better angle.
Three from Reed rims out, and Mangaka here's off and running. And fouled in the process.
Townsville with the foul, and it's on number 3, Steph Reed, her second.
So Steph Reed's second foul of the game. Not too many players in trouble in terms of fouls. Mangaka here sitting on 3 for Sydney, and Samuelson equally sitting on 3 for Townsville. Here is Mangaka here. Willoughby just rattles out. And Nicholson wants to go all on her own. Spinning around heel, just missing.
Now she's one, when she goes off the dribble, especially in transition like that, you want to shrink all of the space or crowd her with people and force her to give the ball up. She's so dangerous one-on-one and does a great job of finding your body and holding contact. You want to try and put people around her, encourage her to give the ball to somebody else, where the flight time of that pass gives you chances to get 5 people below the line of the ball.
So here's Heel for Sydney. Her team in a bit of trouble at the moment. Scoreline is 54-43. Make that 47, and another three-pointer for Heel.
It's in her blood.
As we know the workings of her dad, Shane Heel, patrolling up and down the sideline at the moment. He's head coach of the Sydney Flames. Samuelson. Shot clock down to single digits. And she pops Heel out of the way and makes the basket count.
Unlucky for Charlotte Heel. I thought she did a tremendous job of getting her body in front, trying to beat Samuelson to a spot with her feet and wear contact down the middle there. Unlucky not to get a charge call.
A big basket there from Carly Samuelson. Flames get the ball back.
All right, Flames fans. If you're with them.
So the game is at an interesting point, 57-46. 5 minutes 46 to play left in the third period.
Get ready to bring your voice.
I haven't seen too much of Panousis from the Flames' point of view. We saw her getting some minutes earlier on in the game, but maybe it's a good time to inject her back in for some three-point shooting.
Yeah, I think we saw her earlier than planned because we had the foul trouble for Mangakar here. But you can see how she's a live wire that makes things happen. She's tough to stay in front of. She's got a really quick crossover and is tremendous with her change of pace. So she'll hesitate, she'll pull up for a second, have you lift up out of your defensive stance, and then when you're tall, she'll get low again and put the jets on and go right by you.
So Flames ball, Froling to inbound from the sideline. 8 points for her so far this ball game. And Shyla Heel starting to warm up. Shot clock down to 5. Goes for another long three. Gets her own boards. Can't bake in the 2. Froling's there to help and gets the and 1. Persistence pays off for Sydney.
And great hustle play, so both from Shyla to be able to chase down this miss and then be able to get a layup attempt. But you need that presence, that's somebody, or sometimes it's more than one person, that competes on the offensive glass to keep the ball alive. Keely Froling is as good as they come, and she can play through some contact too. So this could be a three-point play and a bit of a stabilizer, I think, for the Flames. It's the bucket they needed.
She's a great leader of the Sydney Flames, Keely Froling, and she pops in that free throw.
Sponsored by Gamble Aware, Keely Froling.
Taking on the captaincy solo this season and doing a tremendous job leading this young team. Youngest in the WNBL. So Reed for Townsville. Gets some help from a McSpadden screen. Nicholson now. 3 on the shot clock.
Good defense.
And Sydney will get the stop.
And I like that pick and roll defense a whole lot better for the Flames. So they're in what's called a drops. So if you're guarding the ball handler, you're trying to go over the top of the person that's trying to screen you. And whoever's defending the screener will sit off and almost be a little bit of a cushion, try and stay in the driving lane of the ball handler just until their teammate can get back in front of the ball, and then you'll see them go back towards the player that's rolling to the basket.
It's the Fire in the bonus now. So Sydney will head to the free throw line from here on end. So a chance for them to get themselves right back in this game. You can see there, the Flames will take to John Cain Arena on Saturday, Feb 4 to face the might of Lauren Jackson and the Southside Flyers. Get your tickets at Ticket Tech for that one. So 7 points the margin, just ticked over the halfway mark of the third period. Froling cool, calm and collected on those free throws, but so too is Roof under the rim again.
And some hesitation from Tiana Mangakar here there to go across and help. So she's in a position defensively that we call the low split line. It's her job to come across and help there and make sure that there's no layups.
Clark loves this range. Just not quite feeling it this game. Hit 4 from 5 from three-point land against Adelaide Friday night. Nicholson, nice mid-range too. Getting herself into this game very nicely, Lauren Nicholson. The team leading by 11. It's Heel wants to change that narrative. Willoughby. Froling now. Driving in hard on Roof. Just can't get past her, but gets it back. Has to go. The shot clock ticking down, and that's classy from Keely Froling.
Super persistent, but attacked the moment she caught the ball.
And now the Sydney Flames will get it back again. Willoughby had players screaming for it. And ends up with Mangaka here in the corner. Now drives in hard to the basket. And that's a nice finish.
That's tough. And I thought the Fire did as much as they could in that possession. So Steph Reid runs out. She closes out through the passing lane, so there wasn't a clear extra pass out to Mangaka here. So it had to go in the air, forced a little bit of a lob pass, and then it gives you time to try and compete. But then great dribble penetration. She gets on the rim and makes a tough finish.
So timeout called. Flames 54, Fire 61. 3 minutes 25 left in the third period. You can see the top scorers and fouls on your screen. Froling with 14 now for Sydney. Willoughby with 12. And then for Townsville, Nicholson with 13. Roof with 12. And two players in a bit of foul trouble. Kira Rowe with 4 to her name. So too is Tiana Hawkins. That's why she's been a bit quiet this game. Mangaka here and Samuelson each with 3. So that's how the situation looks in terms of stats, Mark. But what does it look like in terms for the two coaches on the bench right now?
Well, look, again, you're still in this feeling out process for a lot of it. I think there's been some runs within this quarter alone. You've got to find a little bit more from contributors on the floor. If you're the Fire, you've got to find, like, Hawkins has got to get going. She's got the 4 fouls. If they roll her back out into the action, a player of her caliber needs to have the emotional control to play with 4 fouls and be able to do what you do. So she's playing a little bit below what we would normally expect from her, but then that's being cleaned up by other players. So the likes of McSpadden have come in and given you 10 points and 4 rebounds. Roof's got 12 points and 7 rebounds herself. For the Sydney Flames, they're starting to find a little bit of mojo. You've got Tiana attacking off the dribble, and then Heel and Froling are starting to get going.
That's exactly what Shane Hill would have wanted. There's still a bit of a way to go, though, down by 7. Townsville with the ball in their hands right now. Samuelson back out to Roof. Dribbling around Clark. And heading to the line for 2.
You've got to challenge Roof to be able to shoot over the top of you. So if you're Emma Clark here, you get bump contact, you've got to separate and get your feet and body away from her. If you allow her to get close to you, she can step by and then be able to get a little bit of a straight line type of path to the basket there. And she's quick with her first step and wants to go to that pet left hand of hers.
So that's Roof's 13th point of the game. She's playing a starring role, and she's really made her mark in new colours. Of course, part of the UC Caps for a long time, and now in the orange this season, and making her mark with a couple of free throws there.
And she fills up every stat column, right? So she's got the 3 offensive rebounds. She's got 7 rebounds total, 3 assists, so she's prepared to make the right basketball play, but she gets on the free throw line too.
The foul is on Townsville's number 1, Lauren Nicholson.
So Lauren Nicholson commits another foul, so she's got to start watching herself as well. That'll be her 3rd for the game. Sends Shyla Hill to the free throw line.
It's a big couple of minutes. You really want to ask of the Flames to be aggressive offensively. Sometimes that can be from the change of possession, just looking to get it and go, but then attacking the rim with dribble penetration and pass penetration. Put yourself in positions where there's going to be contact and fouls, because you're shooting free throws if there's any slight bump right now for the rest of this quarter.
So nice finish there from Hill. Let's see what Townsville got on their offensive end. Nicholson. Screen came from Bakuzo, back on the floor. Nicholson goes in on the left, can't bake it in. Clark, strong on the boards. Mangaka here. Driving around Akuzo on a little feed to Shervin, just got cut off.
Right idea. Shervin just needed to move forward to the basket. She would have been able to collect that ball and make a layup.
Reid driving hard as she always does. Can't scoop it in this time though. Townsville ball. She's got so many moves, Steph Reid. She's always got a smile on her face too.
And always looks like her body can move quick, but her mind is moving slow. Like, she can make great decisions and she's able to find gaps.
And Roof again, off to the free throw line. She's unguardable at the moment.
and plays through seeks and plays through contact. So she wants to find your body. So if you're defending her, you want to try and lean towards the counter of that. You've got to try and do any of your physical work, so pushing her position before she gets the ball or early, or try to have perhaps an arm on her at the start of a possession. But when she gets it, you've got to give her a foot of space and be able to try and contest things on the gather of the ball or as she rises to shoot it.
Ruth able to make the second, and
And for the Flames, number 21.
she's got herself up to 16 points for the game. So Shervin now dumps it to Panousis. Back on the floor for some minutes for Sydney. Lit it up from the three-point line earlier on. I think that'll be a foul call there from the ref. Keely Froling there getting tangled up. Yeah, just coming into Nicholson at the back.
I'd say let him play.
So Reed, the team leading 65 to 56, just ticking down towards the 2 minutes left in the third period, and Reed rolls in, gets the finish.
Just tremendous and hard to stay in front of. So there's no real reason for Charlotte to take herself out of the driving lane there, especially with Steph Reed being at quarter court. It's not like she's going to pull up behind a screen at that distance and shoot the ball. You can keep a cushion and stay squared off, and even go underneath any type of screening action when the ball is that high.
So Reed can convert a big three-point play here. And does so. She's really working herself into this game nicely, Steph Reed. Now to double-digit points. Willoughby can't roll that one in. Kate Gay's on for some minutes for Townsville. Didn't even have a WNBL team at the start of the season, and now she finds herself a fire player. She'll be crucial in these last stages of the third period. So too will Reed. Goes large from three-point range.
That's a massive shot over the top of the outstretched hand of Shervin.
It's the Fire out to a comfortable lead now, 71 to 56. Heel's got some work to do on Reed. It doesn't roll in. Fire have had a really dominant third period. 26 points to 20 so far. Reed, can she inflict further damage? Gaze. Out to Woods. Shot clock down to 5. Woods pops it up. Can't pop it in.
So smart by Woods to throw a pass fake to the player in the post who was holding a seal, and that dragged a defender from the perimeter, whoever was guarding Steph Reed on that possession. I think that they mixed up their matchups, I should say, and it left Steph Reed open on the wing, so the pass fake will get the defender to bite, and then a skip pass across to Reed, and she's just come off a three-point make. That would have been a really good solution to that play.
So both teams in the bonus now. So this last minute will be free throws for every foul. You see Kira Rowe back out there despite being on the 4 fouls. Just some last minute defensive hustle, you sense. But Ruth makes no mistake. So what can the Flames do with this last minute to keep themselves in the game? 73 to 56 is the scoreline. Panousis going in hard on the left. Pushes it back out to Willoughby. Guarded by Gaze. Pops up a shot. And Gaze gets the boards. Reed now. Guarded by Heel. Gets some help from Akuzo now. Out to Roof, who's feeling it this game. Just can't quite knock down that three.
The trademark action from Coach Shannon Seabaum, a screen and then what we call a re-screen. When the screener goes to try and set a second screen, it often ends up in a switch, which is what they're looking for.
Big stop there again from Roof, using her length. She's got 3 seconds to work with. Gives it out to Gaze, who loves a long three, but that one won't count. But either way, a really comprehensive third period performance from the Townsville Fire, out to their biggest lead of the game, 73, Flames a 56, a 17-point margin at three-quarter time. So as we take a look at the Sydney Flames huddle, Mark, and we look at the highlights from the game, what did Townsville do well in that quarter to get out to this lead?
Well, as elementary as it sounds, they continued to be who they are. They played exactly the style of basketball that you're accustomed to seeing them play. So poised, simplicity, points in the paint being a real hallmark of the way that they play. So I mentioned coming out of halftime, their points in the paint average as a team is already top of the competition at 37. They're on 40 currently with still a quarter to play. Second chance points, so they compete for extra possessions. You know, the O boards, they average 12, they're on 9, but then the second chance points that come from that, they average 13, and this is purely effort stuff. They're on 12 currently, again with a quarter to play. So, you know, it's almost akin to when you play the Bendigo Spirit, where they've got so many relentless offensive rebounders. The Townsville Fire have similar. You've got Nicholson, who rebounds from the perimeter. She's got 2 offensive boards. Roof's got 3. McSpadden comes in and gets 1. You know, all of these things are really, really important to keep the ball alive for the Fire.
Taking a look at the match stats for three-quarter time, and the field goal percentage and three-point percentage is pretty good for Townsville, 52% and 43%, but the Flames are doing really well from that three-point range too, 53%. Rebounds, Townsville just leading 33-24, leading in assists as well, 18-11, 8-2 in steals, and that big one, Mark, that you keep harping on about, 40 points to 14 points in the paint.
Yeah, and that's the telling thing, and you know, it speaks to the balance that you want to have offensively, and the Flames certainly have this. It's just a case of steering them, you know, both from perhaps a strategic standpoint for the play calls that you have, or the things that you try to emphasize as a coach, but then there's a responsibility within the group to be able to self-analyze and recognize when, you know, you're going perhaps to perimeter, you know, compared to, you know, what you would want in terms of finding that balance, because then being able to get the ball inside and go off the dribble, get post touches. I mentioned earlier, it puts you in positions to be fouled, and then the free throw line is a great way to eat into leads, not having to do a whole lot.
So one last quarter here for the Sydney Flames to get back into this game, or perhaps Townsville to get themselves a big win and try and solidify their top 4 spot. And Steph Reed is cooking. She dazzled us with that late 2-pointer in the third period, and she's back on the score sheet again in the fourth. 15 points for her, just like that. Panousis. Rowe. You mentioned how good she was from this range, Mark, and here she is.
Right, but you had 2 interior actions that came. You had the post feed there to Froling, the dribble penetration from Vanessa Panousis. That were precursors to being able to get Kira Rowe that open 3-point look.
Roof leading all comers with 18 points. Here's Akuzo. Now Woods. Roof just loses her footing on the pass. Great error from her. She's having a stunning game, Michaela Roof. 18 points, 4 from 10 from the field as well. So shooting in a good clip. 8 rebounds and 3 assists. Charlotte Hill with 14 points to her name. Gives it to Willoughby. Back to Hill. Dumps it into Rowe. Sydney ball again.
Unlucky on that possession. Probably could have been a foul call with her going to the basket.
Nice find there from Hill, just able to finish off. So the Flames are having the right ideas and just can't quite execute. It's sort of been the story of their season, and that'll just come with more minutes in the legs, you sense?
Yeah, I mean, that last half-court possession as well, I'd love to see them run that where Willoughby catches the ball going to her left hand. She's hard to stay in front of, really explosive with her first step.
Roof pulls down another rebound for Townsville and hands it off to Reed. Dumps it into Akuzo. 2 shots for her. She hits the deck quite hard there, so hopefully she's okay, because we know she's had her injury troubles this season, Zatina Akuzo. Just got, yeah, a little poke in the eye, it looked like, from Froling, accidental of course. And those hurt.
They absolutely do. I mean, she's deceptively nimble too for a player of her height. That Euro step action, so being able to catch and gather the ball, load it on one leg, pull the ball over her head and land on the other leg and be able to finish at the basket. It's a trademark thing that she does, and she's really proficient at covering space, but then having the agility to pull up on, you know, on a dime basically, and be able to maneuver around a defender.
So Tina Akuzo yet to score this game. And she's on the board now. She's had a bit of trouble, obviously, like I mentioned, with injury. She fractured her foot in the warm-up of the Fire's round 2 game, and then she's just struggled to find her form, and you can understand why. It's a big injury to come back from, but she's got herself 2 points now. Panousis into Willoughby. Mangakahia now. And the pass again cut off by guess who? Steph Reid driving in hard and going to the line for a couple of free throws. That'll be Mangakahia's 4th foul as well. You can see there the speed of Steph Reid is just so hard to compete with.
Especially when she gets ahead of steam up. She's as quick as anybody in the competition.
She's working her way into this game nicely too. Had a bit of a quiet start on the scoreboard. Let's see if she can nail the second free throw. Of course, she was selected in that extended Opal squad, competing for selection in Asia Cup and the Olympics as well, perhaps putting her name right in Sandy Brondello's book. So 77-59 is the scoreline. The Fire in control, but we know the Flames, they came back from being 23 points down just on Friday night against Adelaide. So do not count them out whatsoever. Down by 17 points at halftime in that game too.
And even further challenged by some foul trouble. There's a 4-0 foul count right now to start the quarter.
And Roof again.
Make that 5.
It's just so hard to stop when she's in this reign of form. Michaela Roof gets herself another bucket. The Flames are in the bonus. The Fire will head to the line from here on end. Up by 20. They're right where they want to be.
Look, credit to the Fire to keep putting themselves in positions through their execution to be fouled and get themselves to the free throw line.
Roof makes the and 1. Mangakahia. Froling. And now Panousis. You can see there Kira Rowe fouled out with that one. And Mangakahia sitting on 4. So too Hawkins. We haven't seen much of her at all in this second half, Mark.
Yeah, and I mean, with the lead being what it is, you may want to shut her down. You don't need, as great a player as she is, you don't need her impact right now. You can afford to be able to get some minutes into the likes of Akuso and try to get some of her match fitness and match touch back.
You can see Kate Gaze getting some minutes as well for Townsville. Courtney Woods just stepping out of bounds there. Charlotte Heel is going to come back into the game for Sydney, replacing Vanessa Panousis. So Roof into Reid. They've been a prolific combination all game, these two. Reid going to work now on Heel. Dumps it back out to Roof. He's confronted and gets the ball taken out of her hands. Charlotte Hill just getting a bit handsy there. And Shervin came in to help. So we'll have a timeout called. Townsville are 80. Sydney are 59. So they've blown out to a really comfortable lead now. Kayla Roof leading the way with the 21 points. And you can see this timeout is brought to you by Aussie Hoops. The Aussie Hoops program had its biggest year to date with over 42,000 participants registering to a local Aussie Hoops centre nearby. Aussie Hoops is the perfect introduction to the world of basketball for kids aged 5 to 10 years. Whether your little one is a seasoned basketball fan or simply looking to get out there and give it a go, we have no doubt they'll have an absolute ball of a time. Register now to kickstart their basketball journey. So, Mark, we're looking at these two timeout huddles, Shannon Seaborn and Shane Hill. Put yourself in their shoes. What would you be saying to each of your teams right now?
Well, I think it's a chance if you're the Fire to continue down this path of just being solid for this last 7 minutes and 41 seconds, trying to weather a little bit of a storm, and you're probably going to expect some defensive changes, so you're anticipating what you might see, up the floor pressure or some type of zone or zone press. So I'd be giving precursors to those solutions. You can turn some of the aggression defensively from the Flames on them with back cutting actions and what have you, but I'd be asking them to still continue to be aggressive on the offensive end, because everything that you do is going to end up on the free throw line. For the Flames, you're trying to find some more stability, and it's hard because you're asking the group to stay competitive, knowing that there's going to be risk of fouls, but you can almost put that aside and you're watching the game from a qualitative lens. Is the team reacting on flight time of actions? Is the team playing to win? Is the team executing what you want on the offensive end and being able to coach them to those things?
So a really big blow for them, because the Fire will probably find themselves at the charity stripe a lot in this fourth period with that foul trouble, and Ruth's not the player you want to send down there. 23 points for her this game. We've still got 7 minutes to play. Heel launches a big three. McSpadden comes in for the boards. Reed now having a solid game. Dumping it into Ruth, and this time Shervin cuts it off. That's great hands by the big. Mangaka here going up against Reed. Getting her own boards. Restart things. Heel left all on her own. Can't convert.
Unlucky. That's a great job to find Shyla Heel, who's one of the best three-point shooters in the game, lurking at the top of the key. Surprising that the Fire would leave her with that much space.
Absolutely. Samuelson to McSpadden. And here's Reed. Dumping it back into McSpadden. That's a nice feed from Steph Reed.
A great feed, but a really good screen, and keeps the defender on her back and then rolls to the basket. So where the defender is behind you, if you're McSpadden, it leaves you front position to be able to catch and finish.
Mangaka here on the reverse. Ruth's there to mop it up. 84 to 59. How far can the Fire go in this game? They've shown their offensive prowess this season.
So that possession is exactly what I talked about. So you're anticipating, if you're Coach Shannon Seaborn, there's going to be some exertion of pressure, and you're looking for opportunities to back cut to try and turn what is a move from the defense into a counter move, an overthrown pass, but exactly the type of situation that you want to prep your team for in this type of circumstance.
A little stat for the folks at home. When Townsville scores more than 80 points, they're 5-0. So if you're going by that, you suggest they're in for a win, but Willoughby's got something to say about it.
Strong drive to the basket, on her right hand too, which is her non-preferred. Being able to get up tall, be able to get a finish over the taller McSpadden. I'd love to see the Flames continue to move the ball. It looks like in the past two possessions, you've had a lot of solo efforts. So you've got the limitation of, I've got 6 minutes left and a deficit, so I've got to take quicker shots. So I understand that. But if you're talking qualitatively, you want the ball to still move through sets of hands and force the Fire to have to defend more actions before you get the ball to your key pieces with time and space.
So Willoughby converts the three-point play. A little settler there for Sydney. See what Steph Reed's got left. McSpadden finds herself an open lane and travels. So in terms of the next 5 games, Flames have a bit of a tough run, playing against Southside, Perth, Townsville again, and Southside again, and then the Boomers. So a tough little run for them. Whereas Townsville have Adelaide, Caps, Sydney, Perth, and then Perth again. So tale of 2 different runs really for both these teams.
It really is, but I mean, ideal, I would argue, for the Sydney Flames. So you're playing against some high caliber teams. You get another crack at Townsville. This almost, I mean, I don't want to count them out of the finals picture. I'm not sure mathematically where that stands, but this 5-game stretch really can become essentially your final series. You can go head to head and play every game like it's a semi-final or a grand final against caliber opponents that are likely to feature in that final series, come the business end of this season.
And of course, one of those games in the next 5 for Sydney is that big game at John Cain Arena against the Southside Flyers, first ever WNBL game in that arena, so that'll be a great spectacle. I'm sure they'll relish every opportunity there.
I mentioned earlier they've got a history of being able to accept challenges and really take a game by the stranglehold and try and push good teams. So they got within 7 points of the Flyers the last time that they had a contest. This is a great challenge for them to play in that massive stadium that's going to be packed out. The Flyers are playing great basketball. What a great test for them.
Make sure you get your tickets at Ticket Tech for that. As Hawkins is back on the floor, trying to get some late minutes and avoiding getting fouled out, but a double dribble from Steph Reed. So good pressure there from Sydney. They never say die, this team, Mark. That's what I love about Sydney. That's what I loved about them all season. And it paid off for them against Adelaide, obviously that big comeback win, but on a night like tonight, they keep going. They keep finding ways.
Yeah, and things don't always go your way, right? So that's sport to a point. But if you can have athletes that are motivated internally and highly competitive, it goes a long way to making your team holistically competitive against anybody that you play. And when you've got the likes of Heel, you've got the likes of Froling, who that's part of their DNA, and it stretches beyond just the generation that they're in. But then also Tiana Mangakar here is as competitive and as passionate as an athlete that's been within the country, really. I mean, if you look back to her as a junior athlete, she's fired up, she plays hard, she's been an athlete that's come through the Queensland system at the same time as Christy Wallace. So, whatever was in the water at that particular time in Queensland, you've got, especially credit to the coaches, who brought those players through. You've got athletes that are highly competitive, that compete till the very final buzzer, and it's what makes them great. For the Flames, they've got 3 of those athletes that we just named. It puts them a chance against everybody that they play against.
So 84-64 is the margin. 5 minutes 27 left in this ball game. Both teams have just come out of their timeout huddles. And you saw the top scorers in a bit of foul trouble for Townsville, so perhaps Sydney can relish off that. Reed with 4 now alongside Hawkins, and Nicholson as well with 3 to add too. So it means players like Willoughby can start driving hard at the basket, which is what she's been doing this quarter.
Yeah, and gets herself onto the free throw line. So we mentioned earlier that there was a 5-0 foul count to start the quarter, which is not always ideal, but from a psychology standpoint, it often then predisposes referees to starting to try and even the ledger a little bit. So, credit to Coach Shane Heel and the Flames in being able to diagram some things here where they're being attacking off the dribble, knowing that there's a likelihood that a call may come their way.
So Willoughby knocks down the first one. And makes it 2 from 2 from the charity stripe. So she's emulating Michaela Roof's success from that range. Here's Roof again on cue to Reed. Just keeps the ball in and now guarded by Shervin. And Allen too on the floor. But Roof all alone. That's not a player you want to leave alone.
Yeah, it's tough because, generally speaking, she can beat you off the dribble, so to go and close her out long, she's going to go to the bounce. You've got to make this educated guess, make the play that you know is going to be the right one within the ball game. She's knocked a couple down. I probably would have liked to see Froling chase her down and really contest that 3-point shot, given, the way she's shooting in this particular game.
So the Fire get this board, and Roof will have a go again. A double-double for her, up to 11 rebounds too, to go with the 23 points. Here she is on cue. Swinging it out to Nicholson. That's a good find. And now Nicholson finds Reed all alone. Shervin's there to pick up the boards.
It's a bit of a miscommunication on who was guarding Reed there, but there was what's called a scram switch on the weak side of the floor. So they switched who was guarding the pick and roll. You had a smaller player on the rolling post player, and then Willoughby, who was the next tallest on the split line, came across and then switched with them, if that makes sense.
Explain. I'm gonna digest this. What's a split line, first of all?
Okay, so a split line is an imaginary line that cuts the court in half. So generally speaking, you want to put a crowd around wherever the ball is or the side of the court that the ball is on, and you can establish this split line if you defensively send the ball to one side of the court. So whoever is guarding the players opposite the ball side can sort of zone off a little bit and play within the middle of that imaginary line that cuts the court in half, play in the middle of the keyway. You'll have a basket protector and then someone who guards the top of the keyway.
Great insights there from Mark Elabakov, former WNBL assistant coach, current Bendigo Braves NBL 1 coach. NBL 1 season fast approaching as well, so more hoops on your calendar. We'd love to see. Steph Reed. Getting around heel. No look pass there to Samuelson, who can't complete the finish. Gets back out to Nicholson though. 87-68, 3.5 minutes left in the ball game. And Nicholson just lost her footing there. So good pressure there from the Flames. Nicholson with the 13 points this game to go with 3 rebounds. Of course, her average is 19.5 points per game, second in the league. Averages the 3rd most minutes, the 4th highest 3-point percentage. She's star of the league. So too is Heel. A nice 3-ball from her. Feeling it from long range tonight is Shyla Heel.
And Resilient has continued to battle, continued to try to make plays happen, even with the margin, what it is currently. I love the idea that they've kept the likes of Heel, Willoughby, Froling on the floor to be able to really set a standard or give an example of the type of fight that you want within the group.
Just like that, Samuelson responds with a big 3-ball of her own. Here's Heel. 5 triples for her tonight.
Nice pass.
Good finish from Shervin too. One of the best bits of play we've probably seen from Sydney tonight.
And that's the next layer of Shyla Heel's game. We know, and we've had seasons upon seasons of tremendous example of her ability to score. You've got the step back 3, you've got her right hand to the rim being able to wear contact and shoot that little scoop layup that she likes to shoot and does a great job with. But does she have a capacity now to take it to another level with finding people that are open and really make herself tough to defend and find more space for her scoring game, which seems the natural thing for her, by getting others involved at different times and then having flux, I guess, between those two things. So still being aggressive, but then being able to get others involved as well.
Shyla Heel with 17 points, 5 from 9 from 3-point range, a couple of rebounds and a couple of assists. So another prolific performance from her. Reed. Good D by Clark, but the Fire will have another go at it from the baseline. Nicholson and Reed not quite connecting on that high 5 there, so feeling a bit of exhaustion, I reckon, those two. They've had great games. Oh, beautiful pass to Roof, just couldn't finish. Here's Panousis now. Had the hot start to this game. We've seen the Flames start to use their bench as well. Here is Panousis. Allen. Back into Panousis. Shot clock down to 10. Guarded by Kuzo. Gets around her. And then Shervin pops up a nice 2.
And that's tough because there was miscommunication on who was meant to come and set an on-ball screen, or if they were meant to come and set an on-ball screen at all for Vanessa Panousis. So they worked to get the advantage that they wanted. They had Akuso on Panousis with space on the perimeter. If you give her room to be able to go, generally speaking, you'd expect the guard to be able to be quicker off the bounce than the post player to be able to contain them.
So Townsville want to add to their big score tally. Can they get in triple figures perhaps? They've got 1:42 left to do it. 90-75. Woods dumps it into Akuso. That is lovely.
She's such a big target too, so she gives you a wide area to be able to throw the ball to, and she'll go and get it.
Panousis into Clark. Now Shervin. Can't get back-to-back buckets. Gaze on the follow-up for the Fire. Reed giving it to Roof, switching and missing the pass. So Sydney ball. But a great performance from the Fire. They've had they had a really good start to the season. They've dropped a few games in this last patch, but this is a good confidence boosting win for them.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of that is the quality of the competition holistically, but then you lose Zatina Ayakuso for an extended period of time and Morgan Jaeger as well, who arguably would be two of the players within, let's say, a 7-player rotation, your main 7 within the Fire's lineup. So with those two out, while they're not perhaps the caliber or superstardom of Lauren Nicholson, they're very good players in their own right, and they offer a point of difference. And then when they're suddenly not there, it can leave you a little bit of time that you need to kind of recalibrate. So not unlike what Sydney had to do at the start of the season, losing Purcell right on the cusp of the start of it.
So this is Indy Bowyer at the line, and that's her first points of this WNBL season, so a special milestone for her. And although the Flames take a loss, that's great confidence knowing that they could put players like her on the bench. She's actually signed with Townsville in the NBL 1 North season, so she'll get a taste of things to come playing with these sort of players too.
How conflicting for her.
Sure.
Scoring against a team from the same city. Fantastic story for her, and you love players that come in that get only a small portion of minutes and get their first exposure to WNBL basketball, being confident when they're out there.
Shervin on the boards. Another player out there, Maddie Allen, used to play for Townsville in the WNBL as a development player and training player, so a few conflicting opinions out there.
Familiar faces.
Of course. Clark. Disrupted by Roof, and now Reed. 10 seconds to play, and the Fire will eat up every bit of this. Reed's just likely to dribble it out, and she will. It's a fantastic win for the Townsville Fire at Qudos Bank Arena. 92 Townsville, the Flames 77, and they extend their winning streak over this Sydney team. Back-to-back wins this season for them, 8 in a row over the Flames, and they've now won 13 of the past 14 contests against Sydney. Most importantly, keeping their finals well on track, Mark.
Yeah, and a great response by them. We talked about a little bit of regression in perhaps the results that they've had recently. This is a really good bounce-back win from them. I tipped this as a potential upset because I knew that Sydney had some fire in the belly and is always a team that's tough to overcome. So to have this type of stable win where they're able to weather storms, establish or assert themselves on the game and establish their identity within it, really, really important win for the morale in the group. They had 8 scorers, a massive game by Michaela Roof, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 3 of those offensive, 4 assists, 3 steals and a block. I mean, that's as complete a performance as you'd want, and she really stepped up to fill the void that perhaps they didn't get from Hawkins.
Steph Reed as well, contributing with 15 points and 8 assists, so she really came into her own towards the end of that game. Lauren Nicholson had 13 points, Samuelson and McSpadden finished with 12, and then you had Woods with 6 and Hawkins with 4. So a good amount of scorers there for Townsville. Akuzo also with 4 as well, I should mention too. So a great win for the Fire. Let's take a look at the final match stats from the game, Mark, and you can see the field goal percentage 53-39 in Townsville's favour. The Flames lit it up from 3-point range, 52-44. And then it was pretty much Townsville for the rest of the stat lines.
Yeah, and the most telling thing, I mean, look, you've got down the bottom 2, Townsville Fire 10 steals to 3. They did a terrific job of being able to disrupt some of the stuff that the Flames were trying to do offensively and get them out of rhythm. And then the really telling one is the bottom one, 48 points in the paint to 18. That's massive. They averaged 37, so they've exceeded that. When you're getting those types of looks, high percentage obviously, but then also puts you in positions to be fouled, and they made 18 points from the free throw line.
So the Flames back at the Key Centre next week up against Southside, and then the Fire up against Adelaide back in Townsville Entertainment Centre the 20th of Jan at 7 p.m. Let's take a look at the best stuff from the 4th period, Mark, and Townsville again just dominated, 21 points to 19. So not too much in terms of the margin, in terms of their scoring, but they just had some classy finishes and just showed their experience, didn't they?
Yeah, they really did. And, I spoke about Michaela Roof having an exceptional game, but they got carried at different times by different people. So, when they were trying to overcome the early energy from Sydney, Samuelson gets them going. I think she scored their 7 or 9 of their first lot of points, and then Woods comes in and hits some shots. McSpadden comes in and gives you 12 points and 5 rebounds. Nicholson starts to catch fire in the middle of the game after having a little bit of a slower start, and then the same with Steph Reed. So I mentioned that she at one point had as many turnovers as assists, which is highly unlike her. All of a sudden that turns on its head. She gets her 15 points, which she's been averaging. It's really tough to play this Townsville team and keep everybody quiet. They're able to overcome the Hawkins 4 points, which is uncharacteristic from her. She can be such a weapon, but they find other people who are able to step up, and that's the class of this lineup and the empowerment, I guess, that they have from Coach Shannon Seabohm to do what they do best confidently.
So that's enough of round 10 for the Cygnett WNBL. What a round of upsets it was. Round 11 tips off on Wednesday night. Sydney versus South